Hey, good afternoon. I'm here in the shops at Chestnut Hill, where yesterday we had our yearly event celebrating Hanukkah and community in the public sphere and showing our Jewish pride. And it's interesting because the crowd that comes is totally different than the typical crowd that we get to all our events, because it's mostly people who are searching for Jewish identity, who are not involved in a Jewish community usually, and want to connect to Hanukkah, and want to feel Jewish, and want to feel proud. And it made me think of something interesting that we study in Maimonides in the laws of Hanukkah. Maimonides says and asks the question, what happens if a person theoretically only has money either to light the Shabbos candles or to light the Hanukkah candles? He doesn't have enough money to buy more oil, and it was expensive in those days. And if you know, on Friday we first lit the Hanukkah menorah, then we lit the Shabbos candles. So what do? So Maimonides asks, if you only have money either to light the Hanukkah candles or the home candles, which is how he calls the Shabbos candles, which one do you do first? And Maimonides answers that the Shabbos candles come first. And if you can only pay for one, you pay for your Shabbos candles, and then if you get more money, you light your Hanukkah candles. And the question all the commentaries ask is why? Firstly, it doesn't make sense. Shabbos candles you light every Friday. Every Friday before Shabbos we light 2 candles. So you could do it later. Who cares if you miss a week? But Hanukkah comes once a year. Why wouldn't you say light the Hanukkah candles? Secondly, he says, why does he call the Shabbos candles the home candles and not the Shabbos candles? And thirdly, why does Maimonides say it in the laws of Hanukkah, not in the laws of Shabbos? And Maimonides says this, but the Rebbe gives a very profound answer that really is deeply meaning and moving, especially at this critical moment for the Jewish people, for Am Yisrael and for Israel. The Rebbe says like this: what does the Shabbos candles represent? Shabbos candles represents the home, the family, the spirituality, the order of life as it is, where we start with our children, where we sit down on a Shabbos by dinner, we make the Kiddush, the mother and father sit at the head of the table, they tune out the outside world, they focus on giving the tradition, the love, the nurture that our children and our family needs. That's what Shabbos represents. What does Hanukkah candles represent? We all know that we light the Hanukkah menorah by the window, we light the Hanukkah menorah in the outdoors, in the dark. Hanukkah represents that which God told the Jewish people of Atem Tiyu Li Mamlechas Koyanim Goy Kodesh. You should be a light upon the nations. Hanukkah represents taking that light of ours and sharing it with the world. That morality, that vision, that ethical code, that love for godliness, for monotheism, for spirituality. Says the Rebbe, Maimonides is teaching us a super critical, important message, and he specifically teaches to us by Hanukkah because it's part of the Hanukkah message. What Maimonides is telling us is like this: you have to start at home. If you can only do one, you must first light your Shabbos candles before you can light your Hanukkah candles. You can't be a light upon the nation. You can't illuminate your warmth, your radiance towards the outside if you're not whole, if your children don't have that love for Judaism, those values, if they don't understand why you're Jewish or what you're Jewish for, if they don't love that Judaism, how could you spread it to the world? How could you be able to share that? And that's why he uses the word, the candles of the home. Because what he's trying to tell us is that we must share our love for Judaism with our children, our excitement about Torah, about values, about the commandments with our families before we could share it with the world. And that's the only way we could share it. And that's the law and the message of Hanukkah. Because Hanukkah is about sharing to the world. Yes, we must share to the world, but only after we're strong on our own. And I think about what's going on in America. So many of my Jewish friends are shocked by what they've been seeing with anti-Semitism. And some are paying that some of their own children or nephews and nieces are not having the empathy they should for Israel, are not identifying with Israel, and heaven forbid some even identifying with the side that wants to kill us and murder us and annihilate us. And I think as Jews living in a diaspora, we must remember this message so importantly, which we might have overlooked for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years since the Holocaust, that we need to nurture our children with a love for Judaism, with a love for Torah, for values. Because if we don't, then who knows where they'll end up, heaven forbid. They might not even identify and stand for their own people. It's painful to think about what's going on. But it's something we must talk about and have conversations. As parents, as grandparents, as educators, as leaders. Are we doing enough to share that love of Judaism with our children? Are we first lighting the Shabbos candle before we're worried about Tikkun Olam and social justice and lighting the Hanukkah candle? We must first light that Shabbos candle. And the same goes true on another sense now with Israel. In Israel must worry about the home front first before it worries about what the world and what the nations and what America and what the UN and what Europe is saying. Because ultimately, this is a fight for our survival. This is a fight for the future of Judaism. And if we don't eradicate the evil around us, if we don't annihilate Hamas, if we don't clear out Hezbollah, if we don't go after Iran now, there won't be an opportunity to light that menorah candle. And of course we know it will, because we will do the right thing. But the point that I'm trying to say is we must focus inward and clear house now. You know, you think about the menorah, tonight's the fourth night, today was the fourth day. I think about all these heroes. If it's the young man, Itai, you see a picture of him holding what his young kid sent him, saying, "Daddy, I miss you." He's holding a picture of that, and he's posing in Gaza, and then the next day he gets killed. Or it's a soldier who died, and they found his last letter where he pleaded that if I get killed, first of all, at my shiva, at my house of mourning, don't cry, celebrate, eat good food, and celebrate the fact that I had the opportunity to serve my state, my country, my people. And then he said something which was so poignant in the last two paragraphs. How heroic. He says, "Please, I'm begging you, if I'm captured or killed, don't you dare give one hostage back. Don't negotiate with Hamas for me. I don't want that. That's not what I believe in. That's not what I live in. Don't worry about me." This is the story of every candle, of every hero of the Jewish people. And the way we do this is by first lighting the Shabbos candles, and only afterwards lighting the Hanukkah candles. Let's remember that with our families, with our children, with our communities. It's so critical and important, especially at this time. Happy Hanukkah. Be a light, be a hero. Share the light and the love to others.